What's going on, my fellow A-Plusters? Welcome back once again. It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, certainly coming through on this Toku Tuesday around here at A-Plus Morphinominal. As always, we've got a bunch of reviews and reactions certainly headed your way, but we love to go ahead and kick off your Tuesday right with a Zenkaiger review as we get into episode number 16 for you guys. So I definitely hope you guys have had a great beginning to your week. We had a couple of fantastic past weekends of live shows around here on A-Plus Morphinominal and A-Plus Hero Report. So when I wind up getting myself a brand new episode of Zenkaigers, and there was one that I was actually a really big fan of this week, I had to go ahead and certainly talk about it with you guys today. So I definitely hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I certainly did. I thought this was a great themed in regards to Magnet World here this week. It definitely brought for a ton of laughter and some really cool effects in regards to this episode, to say the least. I feel like GeGe over the past couple of weeks, he's been getting involved in selecting the, Tojitendo to certainly use, or the Topia worlds to go ahead and put out. And he's put some back-to-back solid ones here that I've had a really great time actually watching in here. So fun episode here this week, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just going to be my A-plus opinions. I want to know yours, so let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And let's go ahead and get into our Zenkaiger review, episode number 18, and talk about a couple of things that really jumped out at me. First and foremost, Tojitendo. Can we just talk about them real quick? Because GeGe continues to have a rather large presence in the past two episodes here. I like the idea of kind of seeing him getting involved and things like that. Clearly Ijiru and Barashitara certainly feel some type of way about it, as we see at the beginning of this episode. Look, GeGe also went out and failed last week, right? But the idea of seeing Bakuwash treat him completely differently than he does Ijiru and Barashitara when they fail him, complete polar opposites, to say the least. It's almost like Bokuwas is having a fantastic time seeing GeGe sort of play with his toys, if you will, experimenting a little bit, right? Still continuing, despite his failure, still continuing to boast about him, and even giving him the opportunity to play with the Toji gears once again, right? Like, it's almost like it's night and day compared to anything GeGe does and his actual general. So I really thought that was interesting, and I think that continues to just showcase that GeGe definitely is Bakuwas's favorite when it comes to this. But GeGe is clearly making himself a big player in this game for this series. The fact that we clearly see that he's got his eye on every little thing definitely means that he's, gonna be in people's business. And I kind of dig that as Bokuwasa's sort of right-hand man, if you will, the person that knows everybody's secrets, right? Even calls Stacy out at the end of this episode, letting him know hey, I know, bro. And, your secret's safe with me for now. And I absolutely love that line. But it just shows how conniving GeGe is, how he doesn't mind manipulating people at all, sort of thing. He knows he could probably have his way with Bakuwas and kind of get away with anything that he wants to, right? So I kind of enjoy sort of the power move here that GeGe's given us in this episode, as we see him, again, putting out another Tojitendo this week, or Toji Gear this week, failing once again, but I highly doubt Bakuwas will certainly even care. But I love the fact that he at least lets us in onto why he's kind of interfering with, the general's plans and things like that, right? The idea that, Bokuwas clearly is upset with the both of you. You guys have clearly failed him several times. Maybe it's okay if every once in a while I get in the middle of that to kind of change his mood, right? Give you guys a breather so you don't continue to get a lashing each and every week when you're going to go ahead and continue to fail like that. So I thought that was actually pretty brilliant, a really great way to not get Bokuwas overly exerted or overly pissed off at anybody, but just, and also giving his general sort of a breath of fresh air, if you will. So I love the initiative that GeGe winds up taking in here, but make no mistake, there's, if GeGe's taking the initiative, that means that there's probably something that he's benefiting from, whether that be Bokuwas's attention or really learning the ins and outs of what everybody else is certainly up to. So again, I love the power move by GeGe in here, the little conniving bird. It just feels like it very much fits his personality, and I really love the way that they're certainly using him. So again, GeGe, always watching. always watching. Nothing clearly gets by this guy. But I thought the Tojitendo, the fact that the Tojitendo have sort of a side storyline, right, where there's clearly not everybody's on the same page, or not everybody certainly trusts each other, right? Like they all kind of have maybe a little bit of their own agenda, if you will. I kind of dig that. It makes their side much more interesting to me. One person that continues to be interesting to me, despite his lack of fighting, the guy certainly hasn't really impressed on that front, is in fact Stacy. We see Stacy once again in this episode, this time though visiting Yi-chan. We saw last week, right, that he kind of had that remembrance of his mother, that sweet soft voice, if you will, by Yi-chan, maybe tickling his brain a little bit, bringing back some memories of his mother that we know, or according to him, is probably lying dead in a ditch somewhere, right? So again, I'm still leaning towards the idea, even after watching this episode, that Yi-chan is not his mother, especially again when you get to see like the close-up views of like Yi-chan and then like the young mother. I clearly don't think that they're the same person. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm certainly not under that impression. I feel like if anything, it's just jogging Stacy's memory of his mom, and maybe he's feeling a little bit lonely. Maybe he doesn't want his father Barashitaro always down his throat and yelling at him, sort of thing. Maybe he needs that little tender loving care, a little TLC in his life, and so I'm assuming that's maybe one of the reasons why he goes ahead and visits Yi-chan. I mean, she even gives him like a sundae ice cream and things like that for him. It's almost like he's coming home as a kid, right, getting sort of that comfort food to kind of make you feel at home, sort of thing. And I feel like maybe Stacy's struggling with the, I love this feeling, but I'm supposed to be evil and moody, sort of thing, right? So anytime he gets those feelings, or people start kind of pushing his kind button a little bit, that we see Kaito in here, maybe a little bit reluctant to certainly do the good thing. But I think the fact that there is a good thing inside of Stacy to a certain extent probably says something, right? So, and I definitely do think that's something that Kaito picks up on, the fact that Stacy even comes over to Yi-chan, that maybe the slight connection that he's kind of making, or realizing that, Stacy's maybe trying to reach out a little bit, if you will, for that comfort. I found it interesting that he changed up his name for the grandmother in here, and Satoshi, I believe, is the name he's going by, Satoshi. So that's how Yi-chan actually knows him. I don't know if that's actually Stacy's real name or not, or if that's just sort of a cover up, if you will, for Yi-chan. But I did find it interesting, the fact that he's actually stopping by and getting a little bit more comfortable with her. And I do love the fact that Zox at least reveals to Stacy in here that it is in fact his grandmother. I was actually kind of expecting Kaito to kind of be like, why are you visiting my grandmother? Like, why are you even here in the first place? But clearly they weren't able to go ahead and actually get to that particular point, if you will. It's actually Zox that winds up having to lay that information on Stacy in here. But I do love the interference of Zox here. The idea that Zox is keeping his eye on everybody as well. The fact that he's kind of implanted himself into like this weird triangle situation between him, Tojitendo, and Stacaesar. I do like the combination of these three. And also, I don't know if this is Stacy's theme song or whatever the case may be, but whoever's doing the musical composition this week, I thought was pretty incredible, especially when we do get to the scene of Kaito having to ask Stacy for help this week to go ahead and defeat Magnet World, which I thought was a fantastic scene, to be perfectly honest with you, because for me, that moment alone just shows Kaido's humility. I mean, the fact that the man is able to humble himself to ask his enemy for help, knowing that he doesn't get along with him, but he needs help in order to save the people that he loves. The fact that he's able to push those differences aside and ask somebody, just kind of manning up and being humble about it. Man, it's like a perfect character traits. I mean, this guy can't do any wrong when it comes to Kaito, right? And it's easy to see why people are so easily drawn to Kaito and appreciate him so much, because of the fantastic and unselfish things that he does. Like, even towards the end of this episode, right? Like, he could worry about the idea that Stacy's getting close to his grandmother or coming to the candy shop, sort of thing, seeing it as a threat, right? Seeing it as the idea of, he can attack my loved one at any particular point in time. But he doesn't see it that way. He doesn't see it that way at all. If anything, he looks at it like an opportunity to kind of reel Stacy into the light side a little bit. And what I mean by that is like when he talks to his grandmother and he says, if you see him again, give him another one. This time, give him another Sunday. It's on the house. It's for me. It's from me, right? And give him one this big sort of thing, right? So the fact that he's urging his grandmother to still be kind to Stacy, man, you could just easily tell that he certainly has picked up on the idea that there is a softer side to Stacy. If he's going to be there and visiting the grandma or just eating the sundae, the fact that Kaido is smart enough to push him to helping him out, even though he certainly doesn't want to, I thought that was fantastic. Now, granted, there is probably a little bit of blackmail involved in there, right? Like Zox does say something along the lines of, you should know Kaido is her grandson, right? You may not, she may not want to know that you're the one attacking him, sort of thing, right? Like kind of holding that over his head that maybe if he doesn't help out or if he continues to misbehave, he's going to go ahead and tell Yi-chan, and maybe that cuts off all ties to, Stacy and Yi-chan's sort of relationship or whatever the case may be, right? So I do love the fact that Kaido at least picks up on that, realizes the good that's maybe still within him, and continuing to urge his grandmother in a certain way to kind of continue to, pull that out of him. So I thought that was really great. And again, I think that also continues to build on the Stacy character. The fact that, there's a part of him that does kind of worry about what his image is going to be like to Yi-chan if she finds out, right? Like the idea of that no longer being in his life or accessible to him. If it's enough for him to contemplate and to turn his back on the Tojitendo to go ahead and set up this trap that they had, then yeah, there's definitely a lot more to Stacy than certainly meets the eye. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. I love the fact that Stacy takes that initiative to set up Magnet World in here. I even put in my notes, this is the first great thing that Stacy has done, but he clearly has some feelings about what he certainly did in here. But this is really the moment for Stacy that puts him on the map for me. I mean, it's great to have all the cool costumes and the cool gear and the cool mechs, but when they amount to like an 0-4 record against Zenkaiger and Tukaiser, it don't really mean nothing to me. You know what I mean? So the fact that you actually come out and you make a decision like that, I think is a great moment for his character, and I think one that's going to certainly take him down another path. So I'm continuing to love Stacy's arc so far here in this season, if anything. And I will say this, I was kind of hoping that he would certainly turn sides in the theory video that I talked about a couple weeks ago. And the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. Come to the light side, Stacy. We have cookies, okay? It's okay here, man. We don't harm you. But I also do want to talk a little bit about the Magnet World. I thought the Magnet World was pretty cool. Having everybody become magnets and just metal sticking to them the entire episode. I really did have a fantastic chuckle and just laugh throughout this episode. I did think it was brilliant to see Kaido using the 5-man gear in here to give him like physics knowledge so that he would know how to take down the magnetic barrier. I think the idea was to go ahead and apply heat. I think heat was the weakness for magnets. So the fact that he winds up learning how to defeat Magnet World, I thought was a great usage of the 5-man gear. Now, I've never watched the 5-man Super Sentai series, so I don't know if there was maybe a physics engineer or a physics person on the team or whatever the case may be to give him that smarts. But I thought that was pretty cool. But one of the things that I loved about this episode was actually some of the cool effect shots that I thought that they had in this episode. When you see Zox destroying the beams that are like over the Zenkaigers, I love the fact that you see him destroying it, and because of the fact that the Zenkaigers still have their magnetic forces, it just winds up pulling back and like forming back over them again. I thought that was pretty neat. Seeing Sichin being magnetized to Kaido the whole episode, even when he henshined, I thought was brilliant in here. Definitely made me laugh. The wave of metal that's just coming after all the Zenkaigers as they're like running down the street. I thought it looked really. I thought they did a great job, just special effects wise, and just some great moments of laughter and comedy in here. Especially like the crocodile O that's in the sky from Zox, and all of a sudden it's like being pulled back down to earth as it's following. I think it was Gown and Jurin also. So some really hilarious moments. And honestly, the fact that the magnet world was the theme in here resulted in a great plan by our Zenkaigers, right? Clearly setting up magnet world to be at a certain location when he needed to, but the fact that we have Gaon and Jurin who continue to run around all episode long and actually run to the meeting spot where magnet world is to kind of force them to kind of make that decision, because they're just lugging behind this wave of metal, and the crocodile also. It definitely makes sense as to why the magnet world wind up dropping his abilities in this episode, because yeah, he definitely would have been crushed. But I thought it was a great plan, and reverse psychology to a certain extent, and the fact that they are continuing to run this whole episode and then conclude with a gigantic punch together, I thought it was really perfect, and the action in this episode really worked out for me as well. So yeah, it really hit on all spots for me. Comedy wise, again, I find myself laughing, especially at just like the little things, honestly. Like, for instance, when he see him, the Sichin being magnetized to Zenkaiger was hilarious to me. And then Jurin hits him with the dad joke, and he says, if that thing hits you, you're gonna be gone, not Gaon. Get it? Because it's just I'm sorry, but it's dad jokes like that make me love Jurin all the more. Like, just an absolutely atrocious and just hilarious line to me. I absolutely loved it. And also, Vroom, I think, gives a little Terminator 2 reference in this episode. When you see Vroom get crushed between the car and the truck, he's got his thumbs up in the air like Arnold Schwarzenegger as he's going down the molten lava, and he says, "I'll be back." I loved it. I loved it. And it's, again, there are some episodes where like it's just all jokes. And when it's all jokes, I'm not really the biggest fan. But if you can balance really corny and just witty banter and lines together, great nods to classic movies, and actually have great storyline to help at least develop some of these characters further, that's the type of win that I really do appreciate. So for me, I certainly was a big fan of this episode. It definitely hit me where I needed it to. So yeah, I thought it was fantastic. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, those are just some of my thoughts. If there's anything that I missed in particular, like any character moments, storyline developments, or moments that you further want to go ahead and talk about, let's continue the discussion in the comment section, guys. I always want to go ahead and certainly know your thoughts about this particular episode. But another great episode here for me. 2 back-to-back episodes I've been really big fans of. GeGe, please keep picking out these Tojitenders, because you're on a roll here in regards to solid Zenkaiger episodes. But guys, listen, again, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions, but I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. If you want to follow us on social media, do so right here at A+ Opinions. Very active over on Twitter, along with our main Facebook page, which is our main page for you guys. But if you also continue to love our content, hit that like button. It definitely goes a long way. And certainly subscribe to our channel, guys. But until next time, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, keep it A+. Full throttle, nonstop. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.